Man, welcome in everybody. Feels like it's been forever since me and Adam been together here on the Early Lock Show, Win Daily MLB DFS, sponsored as always by your one-stop shop, things for all sports betting, the Sharp app. Adam, man, we haven't talked since the home run derby, haven't talked since the All-Star game. I was in Boston, you were away. We were all getting some stuff done, family time, but we're back. And how convenient is it that we look at this 13-game slate and who's the guy at the top? Justin Verlander. Amazing, right? Every time we
I
do a
mean,
show.
it's every time we do a show, and before we get rolling, I would just like to say, and my plus 850 Julio Rodriguez ticket for the home run derby has nothing to do with this. Can we do something about somebody hitting like 30 more home runs than the other player and still losing? And there'd be like something to hook a brother up. I mean, he had to go through Pete Alonso at plus 850. He hits 30 more home runs than Soto, and yet he loses. But
Ain't that
anyway,
amazing?
myself and my ticket digress. I'll leave it at that.
I'm with you because I had the 3-leg parlay, okay? Because I had them going in the first round against Seager. I had them going to the finals, and I had them winning. And I had 2 or 3.
I just
Like,
took him to win because I don't really bet. I'm like, plus 850. He's going to want to put on a show. This kid's a stud. Like, it's
he is
850. It's worth a few bucks. Once he got
he
past Alonso, I'm like, oh man, this might actually happen.
I and let's hold on. You brought it up. But Pete Alonso. I'll tell you what, I don't know much about Pete Alonso, not a New York guy. Obviously, I'm a Philly guy, so I got my Eagles on and I got my Art History 101 hat. But what I will say is that dude just grew off of me, not grew on me. Like, is he really like he was putting on this show, like doing yoga on the sideline? Bro, you're hitting baseballs at a home run derby. Like, can we just stop the charades a little bit? Like, just relax. Like, come
Listen,
on. Like, it was just way over the
when you're
top
two
for me. I
when
couldn't do it.
you're the two-time champ, you can do whatever the hell you want in that
I get it, but it was just it was lame, man. I'm sorry, it was lame to me. I could I listen. I just couldn't do it. He was really, and then when he was doing the walk around in the weight room, going up and down, that was bothering me too. But
event. And
everything
it
bothers
cost him.
Jigsaw.
And it
Yeah,
costing him a little bit.
yeah. It's like, come on, man, come on. But hats off to Albert Pujols for my man, 40 plus years old,
And he's a
going
couple
out
years
there.
older. Let's face it.
Legendary. What's that?
So he's a couple years older.
Oh
He's been in
yeah,
the
he's
league
like
like 3-4 years older for
that
what, a decade now.
that's the Jose Mesa rule.
That's right.
But when you're 40, you're actually 55. But now, all kidding aside, we got 13 games tonight, and again, Justin Verlander's at the top. But my sneaky suspicion is that Adam is not going to have him as one of his aces. So, Adam, take it away, ace of the slate.
Well, I did write him up as an ace. This was going to be the 6th time he's faced Seattle, which is a lot in one season. He's had a lot of success against Seattle. 38 strikeouts, 10 earned runs. 6 of those 10 came in one start, so that tells you about how well he did in the other 5. But man, Garrett Cole's at home against an even weaker Royals lineup because Andrew Benintendi's now on the other side of this game. When he's been at home this year, it's 64 and 2/3 innings. It's a 2.09 ERA, 235 WOBA allowed, and .80 WHIP. The K rate jumps up over 35%, and his FIP and XFIP are under 230. Like I can't look past that for a couple $100 cheaper. Like I'm sorry, it's only 100 cheaper. Woodruff is 400 cheaper, but I'm sorry, man. I'm going after Garrett Cole. Maybe it's a mistake, but
Nah.
I'll have less Verlander than Cole once again.
Nah, it's not a mistake. I love it. I mean, you talked about the whip, which is elite at home. 24 walks in 10 games start away, 8 walks in 10 games started at home. Okay. He is a completely different pitcher. 15 earned runs as opposed to 26. I mean, come on. I mean, it's a no brainer. It's an absolute no brainer. Hit 189 against him at home. He's in his element. He's been electric in Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
And I predict nothing less, man. I really do. I predict nothing less. But as always, Adam, we always get that guy that's stud, but we're always taking it. We got to start 2 pitchers. So what's another pitcher maybe we're looking at? Is there not actually a pivot, but a guy maybe lesser value that maybe want to hit on as well? Anybody out there?
Yeah, I mean the punt range is actually pretty intriguing tonight. I mean you have Jose Quintana, who's only 6,900. He's been pitching really well for the Pirates this year. If Philly's a bit of a tougher spot against lefties, I probably wouldn't go real heavy on him, but it's probably going to be his last start in a Pittsburgh uniform if he even makes it. I mean, this is the time of year,
Yep.
guys. Remember, trades can happen at any point, so it's not NBA still, but you need to be checking these lineups pretty much, up till lock and up until that game starts. But you look at Alex Cobb. We've talked about him a few times this year, man. Like he's just been one of the most unlucky people on the planet. His FIP is still 294. His xFIP is 298. ERA is over 4. Again, the Cubs are the toughest matchup, and this is a team dealing with knowing that sometime within the next 6 days, their team is going to look a lot different as sellers. They're probably losing their heart and soul in Wilson Contreras to somebody. I really think this is another good spot for Cobb. I'm not really worried that he didn't pitch super well against the Dodgers. I mean, most people aren't going to pitch super well against the Dodgers. You have Lance Lynn at 6,800. He's had a rough season, but he kind of righted the ship against Cleveland, which is a tough spot, especially for him. They had a lot of lefties in that lineup. He goes 6, strikes out 6, only allows 3 hits and 1 walk. I'm going to be interested there. It's kind of hard not to be at 6,800. I know Lynn hasn't performed super well, but it's not this bad. And it's Oakland. I know they kind of bit the Houston pitching staff these past few days, but it's still an Oakland offense that ranks in the bottom 5 of every category we value.
Yeah, now listen, that's the thing. You got to look at who they're facing, and one guy that intrigues me. And again, listen, I just throw these out there, and again, it's just a gut feeling. Looking at some numbers, but last 2 starts weren't very good. 2 starts before that were very, very good, and he's 7,700. That's Patrick Sandoval, and again, going against the Texas Rangers, who aren't the best team offensively in the world. He's at home. This could be a good play depending on the way you structure your lineup. Like, again, you always got to pick a pivot guy or a punt guy here or there. I'm going to punt with PS again, because I think he's a really good value play. But what about the bats? Thinking about, who we're going to stack tonight, 13 different teams we can look at. There's a couple, guys that are gas cans out there we want to go up against, but who's going to be that main stack tonight?
Yeah, one of the first guys you have to look at, or first teams, I should say, is the Brewers. I mean, this Bello kid for Boston.
Ooh.
I'm not saying he's not going to be a good pitcher. I mean, he has such a limited track record in the majors. He came up through the minors pretty quick. Maybe he's just not ready. It
Nope.
happens. It doesn't mean his career is over or anything. But my goodness, this kid's just gotten hammered so far. I mean, both sides of the plate have a WOBA over 430. The K rates are under 18% for both. The whips are over 2.40 on both sides. I mean, Rowdy Tellez, Willie Adames, Hunter Renfroe, Kutch, Colton Wong. If you're wearing a Brewer uniform, I'm going to have at least some style of interest in you, whether it's the top of the lineup, whether you're building towards the back. Some of these cheaper guys that can afford you some higher end pitching or another expensive stack, whatever you want to do with it. There's a lot of flexibility in this Brewers lineup against what has, at least to this point in the majors, been a very, very rough pitcher.
Yeah, listen, he's averaging over a hit per inning easily. Hasn't made it out of the 4th. So that certainly has a lot of different dynamics in that Milwaukee lineup. So definitely not one that he wants to turn around against. Now, what about maybe a sneaky stack or a value stack? Somebody that maybe aren't going to be chalked that people aren't looking at that we could start.
So this isn't going to be value because the main 2 guys are going to be expensive. And listen, the Dodgers are going to be chalk again. We saw it last night. These hitters, especially in cash, were pushing 70, 80%. Chad Kuhl's not going to scare anybody. You want to prioritize the lefties. Cash, you're going to get your Dodgers exposure. That's fine. But it's a 13-game slate. There's a lot of other offenses that can put up big numbers, and we can't forget that. So the sneaky one I'm going to point out, Annabelle Sanchez has only faced 16 righties this season. But this is a guy who hasn't been in the majors since 2020, and there's a reason for that. He's not a very good pitcher. Those 16 righties so far, a 609 WOBA and a 1475 FIP. 14.75 for a FIP. I don't care if the sample size is small. I don't want to see that when I have Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado, and Tyler O'Neill on the other side, on the right side of the plate. I really like that trio. There's a ton of power potential there. Goldschmidt and Arenado are going to be fresh because they got a couple of days off, whether they wanted to or not. I really, really like the Cardinals. They don't strike out. I don't care if even on the left side of the plate you want to throw in Nolan Gorman, Dylan Carson. I mean, Washington has a terrible bullpen, so if they can get the Annabelle quick, they're probably going to put up a pretty crooked number here.
I like that. I like that. And I'm gonna give you something for you. And I'm gonna do this on this show live. I'm gonna go against my Phillies and tell you the sneaky pirate stack against Bailey Falter, who gave up 3 home runs his last play. He's given up 7 home runs in the last 4 starts. He's just not ready to be a major league pitcher. And again, when you got O'Neal Cruz and you got Brian Hayes, 2 guys that can hit the ball out of the yard, I had this sneaky suspicion that Pittsburgh is going to be able to score some runs and put up some points against Bailey Falter. So maybe a team not everybody's looking at Adam, a team who their top player is at 4,500 salary. So you get an O'Neal Cruz at 4,500, Brian Hayes at 4,100. I mean, you have a really good sneaky stack under 10,000. So again, that could help you out, especially if you're paying 10 for Garrett Cole. Now, final thoughts, Adam. Anything you have, whether it be FFVPs, whether it be value plays, whether it be sneaky plays, anything we got on this 13 game slate to talk about.
I do think a sneaky play might wind up being Blake Snell for me.
Oh,
He's made some tweaks to his arsenal. The walks are still really high, and hopefully those kind of come down. But I mean, look at these past couple starts, man. Okay, at Colorado, he got smacked. Whatever, I don't care if somebody gets smacked at Coors Field. Dodgers, 28 points. San Francisco, tough against lefties, 34 points. Mets, tough offense in general, 21 points. He's only 8,300. He's not a guy that I'm ever really in love with, but people aren't going to play him against the Twins, which is another really tough matchup against lefty pitching. With the way Snell is pitching, provided he's in the lineup, because there's some rumors that actually Minnesota may acquire him, as long as he's starting, I'm kind of interested at 83. Like, the downside's there, but the price doesn't match his potential upside either.
nah, I agree. And before we get out of here, speaking of this, everything we're talking about right here, everything that you hear, this is all numbers driven. Obviously, Adam writes a lot for Win Daily Sports. We have a ton of content there. But did you know right now? Listen, I know the price of gas is high, right? But did you know that you can get these numbers again only for $5.99? Want to try out WinDailySports.com and take advantage of our summer sale? Sign up today for our special weekly promo of only $5.99 to gain you access to read all of our articles, check out projection models, and talk one-on-one with professionals in our expert chat. Use promo code SUMMERSALE, SUMMERSALE, to drop the weekly cost from $14.99 all the way down to $5.99 for a premium gold membership to WinDailySports.com. Make sure you're subscribed to this video, you're hitting the like button, and you're checking the show notes for all the details. Now, as you check the show notes, before we get out of here, one final question. I'm going to put Adam on the spot. Has nothing to do with stats. It has nothing to do with this 13-game slate. Juan Soto. Is he a national at the end of the trade deadline, or is he going somewhere else?
I still think he winds up somewhere else. I don't think, I've heard it speculated it's tougher to make a deal with a player this important, this close to the deadline. And I do understand that. But I also understand that with each passing day, that trade value keeps ticking down, and keeps ticking down, and keeps ticking down. And there's no waiver trade deadline this year either. So once the trade deadline hits, it hits. Your rosters are locked until the offseason. Which would you rather trade? You're going to have to burn your farm system to the ground. So what would you rather? 1 year of Juan Soto or 1 year and 3 months of Juan Soto if you're a contender? I know what my answer is. I mean, obviously, you're making the trade in hopes that you can nail out an extension with him, but you obviously know that the number is going to be extremely high at the same point. So if you're going to burn that farm system to the ground, I want the extra kick at the can and what is hopefully the postseason. I think it gets done. I thought it was going to be the Yankees. The Benintendi trade kind of gives me pause. That makes me think they couldn't get it done. Not that they didn't have the ability to still do it. And I think if they do that, it's basically admitting Aaron Judge is gone. But I also feel like everyone already kind of knows that. So if everybody knows that, why not just have them both for one run, try and win a ring, and then you worry about who to sign and how you're going to manage the money in the offseason. If you're the Yankees, you can print money anyways. Who cares?
Exactly.
I mean, if you're the Yankees, shut up. I don't want to hear about money. I'm a Pirates fan. I don't want to hear it.
And honestly, I don't want to hear about Yankees, man. I don't.
I don't want to go to the Yankees, but
like
that's a team that, especially when they're starting to slide that little bit. They've lost the Astros. They lost a couple of the Mets and everything. They might throw in that last piece to get it over the top and just not worry about what effect it has on Judge or anything else, and just figure it out when they can.
It could be. For me personally, I think he stays for right now. I just think that the logistics of trying to match
It's
up that
tough.
right,
It's tough.
it's tough, man. It's tough. I think he threw him for a loop, saying that he wasn't going to sign. I listen. One thing I will say, I don't blame him. It's for the same reason,
I'm glad you brought that up, man. Because listen, I'm a working Joe.
Yep.
And a billionth of that contract would be nice to me. But when I hear people complain about it, I can't believe he turned it down. You have to look at it through the prism of his colleagues, man. That was not
Yes.
a good offer compared to the other players in the league. It just wasn't.
Nope.
You can look at the total all you want. His average annual value was not worth it for him to sign that contract. I don't blame him in the least. I get it, man. People are struggling right now. I totally understand it. But when you're dealing with sports, you kind of have to put that aside and understand that world that you're stepping into. And the money's just different. I don't blame him at all. I'd have done the same thing in his shoes. And it sounds so bizarre to say, but
listen, I completely agree. I do. And you have to look at it from look at your market. Look at the whatever your niche is, look at your
Right.
market and attribute it to that. You can't look at their market. It's completely different.
Right.
It's market driven. We know that. So I'm with you, Adam, 100%. And we didn't even talk about the deferred money that again, which was another reason why Bryce didn't like it either way. They're
Right.
deferring $100 million.
Right.
Maybe he doesn't want to defer $100 million, right? But again, before we get out of here, though, final shout out, my man, 73-year-old nature boy Ric Flair. Last match this weekend, Adam, the 31st. I know it's a tag match, my man. Before we get out of here, I'll tell you a quick story. I was reading, you probably read the same thing, that he wanted to do a jump off the top rope, and Charlotte was like, hell no. Like, no, you're not doing that. So final thoughts, man. What do you think about Ric Flair's last match coming up?
I just hope he gets through it healthy. That's it.
Yeah.
There's nothing he can do to change his legacy at this point. It kind of is what it is.
Yes.
Please let this be the last one.
Yes.
I'm not a doctor. I don't know his health. A 73-year-old man needs to chill. That's all I'm saying. He's on blood thinners. I know from personal experience, I'm on blood thinners too. You got to be careful with that kind of stuff. I just want to come through healthy. He's had a lot of health issues these past few years. On some level, I kind of wish he wasn't doing it. I'm not in charge of him. I get all that. If he feels comfortable, he gets clearance. I guess more power to him. But just be cool and enjoy the rest of your years with Andrade. What's his name? Andrade. Thank you. I apologize. I didn't say it correctly. And Charlotte, and just enjoy those years, man. You earned them.
Yeah, Nate. Listen, he is the GOAT. If for all intents and purposes of that era, right? There's GOATs of every different era. We get the LeBron talk, the Michael Jordan talk, right? But of that era, I mean, listen, he stood the test of time. He was the one guy, who consistently had 9 lives. He had battle from, federation to corporation, back to federation. I mean, he was all over. So shout out to Nate. Definitely a fiction of my childhood, and one of the reasons why I became a wrestling fan. But as always, we went a little long, but that's okay. We had a couple of topics to discuss, and me and Adam ain't seen each other in like 2 weeks, so we had to talk a little bit. Yeah, it is what it is. But everybody, make sure you're locked in here. Win Daily Sports at Win Daily Sports. We got a ton of big things planned for football season. We also sneak peek got a show going to be starting called the Win Daily Show. Once a week, where you're going to see all the different personalities. And again, as always, everybody stay safe, stay healthy, stay profitable, and we'll catch you back here next time.